There are rooms inside you that no one has ever entered. Not because you wouldn't let them, but because no one ever stayed long enough to ask, or listened deeply enough to understand, or cared gently enough to be trusted. You and I, we didn't start alone. We became alone, slowly. Not in some dramatic collapse, not in one tragic event, but in small, quiet moments across the years. Moments where you reached out and no one reached back. Moments where your excitement was met with silence. Moments where your pain was minimized, compared, or ignored. Moments where your truth didn't matter. Moments where you felt like too much or not enough. So you learned to keep things to yourself. You learned to say, "I'm fine." You learned to stay quiet when it hurts. You learned to numb instead of express. You learned to shrink instead of break. And eventually, you learned to disappear. Not physically. You still show up in the world. You still work, talk, smile, walk, laugh when needed. People may even think you're doing okay. But inside, there's a silence that echoes. A silence that doesn't feel peaceful. A silence that feels like being unseen. And in that silence, the mind starts to twist. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm difficult. Maybe I'm not worth the effort. Maybe connection just isn't for me. But let me tell you something, gently. It's not that you don't want connection. It's that you've learned to fear it. Because connection means vulnerability. And vulnerability has hurt you before. So now you want closeness, but you also want to protect yourself. You crave understanding, but you're terrified of being misunderstood again. You dream of someone who sees you, but you've lived too long unseen to trust that it's possible. This is the paradox of the quietly lonely. We want to be known, but we also want to be safe. And somewhere along the way, safety won. So you stopped reaching. You stopped hoping. You stopped letting people in. Not because you stopped caring, but because you cared too deeply, for too long, with people who never knew how to hold that kind of depth. So now, your heart sits behind a door that you swear is locked. But the truth is, it's only guarded. And guards are meant to be negotiated with, not broken. This is where the psychology begins. Because loneliness is not just the absence of people. It's the absence of being understood. You can be surrounded by people and still feel like you're living underwater. You hear the world, you see the world, but everything feels muted. The laughter you share with others feels hollow. The conversations feel rehearsed. The smiles feel borrowed. You move, but it feels like you're moving through fog. And the scariest part is, you get used to it. You start telling yourself that this is just how life is, that your heart is better quiet, that your needs are inconvenient, that your depth is a burden. But listen to me, just for this moment. Your depth is not a burden. It is a language, a rare one, a beautiful one that not everyone can speak. Feeling deeply does not make you weak. Thinking too much does not make you broken. Being quiet does not make you empty. It makes you alive. What you are experiencing is not the end of your ability to connect. It is the beginning of learning to connect differently, gently, slowly, honestly, without abandoning yourself. Because you don't just want friends,
You want real ones. The kind that don't require you to perform. The kind that sit in silence and still feel like home. The kind that look at you and actually see you. And you're right, those connections are rare. But rare does not mean impossible.
You and I both know something that we rarely say out loud. It's not that we can't make friends. It's that connection costs us more than it costs most people. People who feel deeply, people like you, don't form relationships casually. We don't attach easily, lightly, or without thought. When we care with our whole being. When we love with our entire heart. When we trust like a door being opened for the first time in years. So when something goes wrong, when that trust is broken, when someone leaves or lies or simply fails to show up, it does not just hurt, it shatters. And after enough shattering, you begin to learn what every sensitive soul eventually learns. Not everyone deserves access to you. So you begin to retreat. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, step by step. You stop sharing first. You stop being the one who reaches out. You stop telling people what you're feeling. You start saying, "It's whatever," when it's actually not. And the world calls this coldness. But it's not coldness. It's self-preservation. Because your heart has memory. It remembers how it felt to open and be met with silence. It remembers how it felt to finally speak and not be understood. It remembers how it felt to trust the wrong arms. So now it protects itself. And that protection looks like distance, like quiet, like I don't need anyone, like independence so strong it almost hurts. But here's the truth, a quiet one. Independence was never your natural state. It was your survival. You became self-reliant because you had no other choice. When you needed comfort, you comforted yourself. When you were overwhelmed, you calmed yourself. When you were hurting, you held yourself through it. When you needed to be understood, you had to understand yourself. You didn't become strong. You had to become strong. And the world looked at that strength and said, "See, you're fine." But strength built from loneliness is not peace. It's armor. And armor is heavy. We don't talk about how heavy it is. We don't talk about how exhausting it is to carry it every day. We don't talk about how sometimes, late at night, somewhere between thoughts, you wish, just for one moment, that you could put it down. Not forever, just long enough to rest, just long enough to be held by something other than your own resolve. This is the emotional life of the deeply feeling person. We are both the fortress and the prisoner, the protector and the one being protected, the one who guards and the one who longs to be let out. And this creates a kind of internal war. You crave connection, but you fear the pain that can come with it. You want closeness, but you fear losing yourself inside it. You want to be seen, but you fear being seen incorrectly. So you stay just close enough to feel less alone, but just far enough to stay safe. This is why your relationships may feel incomplete. Not empty, just unfinished. Like you're there, but only halfway. Like your words stop just before the truth. Like your heart stays just behind the door. And people notice. They say things like, "You're hard to read. You're mysterious. You're so calm. You don't need anyone." But inside, it's more like, "I don't know if there's anyone who sees me. I don't know if it's safe to be myself. I don't know if my heart can handle another break." So you choose silence. You choose distance. You choose safety. Because people who feel deeply do not fear loneliness. We fear the wrong closeness. We fear opening our heart to someone who won't know what to do with it.
We fear being misunderstood in our most vulnerable places. We fear loving someone who can't meet us where we are. So we wait. Not for many people, just one real one. One who listens between the pauses. One who hears the unsaid. One who stays when it gets quiet. One who doesn't run when we're difficult to understand. Because we don't need much. Just depth. Just sincerity. Just presence. A small, real connection will always mean more to us than a crowd of shallow ones. This is why people like you and I retreat, not to escape the world, but to protect the parts of ourselves that still want to love it.
There's a certain kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being alone. It comes from being visible, but not understood, from being surrounded, yet untouched, from talking, yet never truly speaking. This is the kind of loneliness that sinks into your bones, because it's not the world that's far away, it's you who is far. But not because you want to be, because being seen is terrifying. Maybe no one ever told you this before, but the deepest fear of many lonely people is not abandonment, it's recognition. To be seen, truly, means there is no mask, no carefully chosen words, no practiced calm, no "I'm fine," no safe distance. It means someone could look at you and suddenly know exactly where you are soft, where you are breakable, where your heart has been bruised. And once someone sees that, they could hurt you without even trying. So you learn to control what others see. You show strength, you show intelligence, you show humor, you show independence. You show everything except the part of you that aches, the part of you that still wants to be held, the part that wants to say, "Please stay," the part that wants to admit, "I don't want to do this alone anymore." But vulnerability is a language that requires safety, and safety is something you have not known in a very long time. So instead, you hide in plain sight. You smile when you're exhausted. You help others even when you're breaking. You listen to everyone's stories while yours goes unheard. People think you're calm, stable, strong, unshakable. But strength has always been your last line of defense. You didn't become composed because life was gentle with you. You became composed because life was unpredictable, because the people you needed weren't reliable, because your emotions were never taught how to rest in someone else's hands. So, you hold them all inside. And over time, this becomes normal. You start to forget what it feels like to open up, to share freely, to be seen without flinching, to be known without fear. And here is the quiet tragedy. You stop believing that anyone could understand you, even if they genuinely wanted to. So when someone asks how you are, you answer short. When someone wants to know you, you answer safe. When someone comes close, you step back so they don't get too close. Not because you don't want connection, but because closeness without safety feels like standing on the edge of a drop. One wrong move, and everything inside you could spill out. All the emotions you've been managing, all the loneliness you've been swallowing, all the longing you've been denying. You fear being seen too clearly because deep down, you're afraid of what someone might discover. That you're tired, that you're lonely, that you're softer than you pretend to be, that you're still carrying wounds you never told anyone about, that you aren't as okay as everyone thinks. And most of all, you fear that if someone saw all of that, they might leave. Not because you're unlovable, but because no one has ever stayed when you opened up before. So your heart learned, if I don't show, I can't be rejected.
If I don't need, I can't be disappointed. If I don't hope, I can't be hurt. And now, the world sees your quietness and calls it independence. But what they don't see is the truth. You are quiet because you remember what it felt like to speak and not be heard. You are distant because you remember what it felt like to reach out and not be held. You are careful because you remember what it felt like to open your heart and watch someone treated casually. So you protect yourself, not by building walls, but by becoming the wall, by being the calm one, the stable one, the one who doesn't ask for anything. But listen to me, just for this moment. You do not have to stay locked inside yourself forever. The fear you carry is not proof that you are broken. It is proof that you have loved deeply and lost deeply and survived. You are not afraid of people. You are afraid of being hurt again in the same way. And that fear makes sense. But fear is not the end of the story. There is a way to open again, slowly, gently, inch by inch, without abandoning yourself. It does not begin with trusting others. It begins with learning how to trust yourself again, to notice your needs without judging them, to honor your emotions without suppressing them, to sit with your longing without shaming it, to remember that your softness is not a flaw, it is your humanity. And when someone eventually comes into your life who speaks the same emotional language as you, who listens with their whole presence and stays with intention, not obligation, you will not need to force yourself open. Your heart will recognize itself in theirs, and it will unfold naturally, not because you made it happen, but because it was always waiting.
There is a moment, quiet, unmarked, unnoticed, when a person stops trying. Not because they no longer care, not because they have no one to reach toward, not because they don't feel the ache of wanting closeness, but because somewhere in the timeline of their life, reaching out became associated with pain. Maybe it started in childhood. Maybe it started in adolescence. Maybe it happened slowly over years, through friendships that faded, relationships that cracked, promises that dissolved. Or maybe it was just one moment, a moment you didn't recognize as life-changing at the time. A moment where you finally opened up, finally shared something soft and fragile and real, and the person on the other side handled it carelessly. Maybe they dismissed it. Maybe they laughed. Maybe they changed the subject. Maybe they left. And that's when the brain learned something. Connection is not safe. Need is dangerous. Reaching out leads to pain. This is learned social helplessness. It's what happens when your emotional experiences repeatedly teach you that your efforts don't matter, that your attempts to connect won't succeed, that your voice won't be heard, that your feelings won't be held. So eventually, something inside you goes still. Not dead, just still. Like a house where the lights are switched off, but everything inside remains untouched, waiting. You become someone who doesn't try anymore. You respond instead of initiate. You listen instead of speak. You wait instead of reach. You endure instead of ask. You don't show the world your depth because depth has never been rewarded. It has only ever been misunderstood. So, you withdraw.
But the withdrawal doesn't look dramatic. There are no slammed doors, no final speeches, no declarations of solitude. No, the withdrawal is subtle. It looks like taking longer to reply. It looks like turning invitations down with excuses that sound reasonable. It looks like being busy, tired, not feeling up for it today. It looks like silence. But inside, it is not silence. Inside there is dialogue, endless, heavy dialogue. What if I open up and they leave? What if I get close and they hurt me again? What if I show who I am and they don't want it? What if I need too much? What if I am too much? So you choose nothingness over risk. You choose empty safety over vulnerable hope. Because loneliness is painful, yes, but betrayal after vulnerability is shattering. And after you've shattered enough times, you learn it is easier to expect nothing than to lose something I care about. So you live quietly. You keep your emotional world folded tightly into your chest. You become your own confidant, your own comfort, your own shelter. And the world calls you strong. But strength that grows from heartbreak is not strength. It is survival. And here is the part we rarely acknowledge. The brain adapts. The brain begins to automate the withdrawal. It stops waiting for disappointment. It expects it. Rejection stops being an event. It becomes a belief. You begin to pre-reject yourself so others don't have the chance to do it first. You convince yourself, no one really cares. No one really listens. No one really stays. No one really sees me. And the more you repeat it, the more your brain believes it. Not because it's true, but because it has been learned. This is why saying, just go make friends, is never helpful. They don't understand that for people like you, connection isn't just behavioral, it's emotional, it's nervous system deep, it's history deep, it's memory deep. To someone who has been repeatedly unseen, reaching out feels like walking back into a fire they've burned themselves in before. You don't avoid people out of disinterest, you avoid them out of remembrance. But here is the truth, the gentle one. The part of you that stopped trying did not do so because it stopped caring. It stopped because it cared too much for too long, with too little in return. Your withdrawal is not the absence of love. It is the evidence of how deeply you love. People who feel nothing do not fear connection. Only those who feel deeply do. And you feel deeply. That is not a flaw. It is your depth, your sensitivity, your emotional intelligence, your ability to see beyond surfaces. But depth without recognition becomes loneliness. Sensitivity without safety becomes anxiety. Emotion without witness becomes silence. So the healing is not about forcing yourself to be social. It is not about getting out more. It is not about pretending you are comfortable when you are not. Healing begins in one small, gentle place. Relearning that your needs are not a burden. Say it again, quietly. Your need for connection is not a burden. Your desire to be understood is not a burden. Your longing to be held is not a burden. Your hope to be seen is not a burden. You are not too much. You have simply never had someone who could hold the size of your heart. Yet. And the moment you begin to believe that connection is possible again, even just a little, your heart will start to move. Slowly, carefully, but it will move. Not toward everyone, just toward the ones who earn it. Because the goal was never to be surrounded. The goal has always been to be understood.